Okay, so that's how the deal came to me. Dawn, can you buy, if we write this deal, can you buy it? Can you buy this note, 110 note for at par, basically, no discount. So just because I like to practice, I'm bringing up the financial calculator here. We got a 110 note. Oops. Okay, 110 note. They just threw in 7% because that's what they saw on the last deal we did together. And so this is fully amortized. So their PITI would be about, I don't know, 900,000, something like that. So what would you say? Who on here could buy this without any discount at closing? And okay, of course, this is our disclaimer. Every buyer, every consumer buyer for sure needs to get qualified, debt to income, ability to pay, all of that with a licensed mortgage originator. And since this is in Texas, they have the option of going to Texas Pride. There they do a lot of this underwriting for seller finance deals. Also, call the underwriters a national company that does that as well. So anyway, so we're not going to be worrying about can they afford it. We're just going to assume they can afford it. So what would you say, people out there? Unmute yourselves if you can, and you want to say, would you buy this for 110 at closing?
Yes.
So this would meet your guidelines. You would be happy to, like, 7% would be great.
Well, my favorite part of it is the equity position.
Right, the safety.
It's going to be a safe note. If anything happens and there's a default, then I'm going to make money.
Well, you won't lose money. You're going to make what you'll make your 7%, and all of that, right? But the main thing is you'll preserve your principal, right? Is what you're talking about, right?
Right, because if we look at the equity, they're only wanting 110 out of 230. That's 50%. That's great.
Yeah, this is a 50.
Such a high down.
Yep, I know. It's unusual. So when people ask me all the time, they're thinking, okay, to get the highest price, I'm going to offer owner financing, then I'm going to sell the note and get all my money out. But usually it doesn't happen that way because there's a discount if this has to be fully amortized. And not, some people would be happy. Barbara, we should hook up and maybe we can do some deals together. But I don't know if someone needs to make 8% minimum. Let's say this is fully amortized, because let's face it, if we get up to the maturity date and a homeowner, you're not going to foreclose on those people if they can still make a payment, right? You're going to extend the loan. So it's got to be someone who has a long time horizon. If they need 8%, then they can only pay, well, it's almost par, right? 99, just about, well, 10,000 less, right? 10, yeah, they can only pay, there'd be a $10,000 or so discount on it. If someone needs 9%, they're going to need a $20,000 discount, you see. So in my business, since I make money on arbitrage on other people's money, this would be too low for me personally. And then also I have, and just don't forget that you do have some money out of pocket to do the due diligence and the closing, because I usually close with the same title company that closed the real estate deal. So there's gonna be some fees, could be $500 to $1,000 in fees to buy the note. And so if this note paid off in 1 month, I'd actually lose money, right? So
usually when I'm doing notes, then it's the borrower that's paying most of the fees.
Yeah, you're talking about a private loan.
And the lender pays very, very little of the fees.
Okay, that's when you're originating a note, right?
Yes.
Not when you're buying a note at discount. This is
Okay,
so you could come in and loan money, but then the buyer has to come up with points, right? Points, fees,
maybe.
and appraisals and all that. In this case, owner financing, the guys that own this place aren't going to charge points to be the lender. What they're getting out of it is a quick, easy sale at their price. So the
Great.
borrower,
So they're just getting their money back to use for later.
right? So in this case, if you're doing a private loan, I don't. But anyway, someone who's brokering your money is going to charge points if you're not charging them, right? Usually, unless sometimes there's a points involved, not always, right? Do you charge points just out
Right.
of curiosity? Do you
It
charge
depends
points?
on the deal. I'll usually charge a point
Okay, very, very moderate.
to cover the
But
due diligence and then any other fees that come up.
yeah, okay, well, good for to know that. But in this case, we're not, if the deal's already inked, let's just say he put this real estate deal together and it's already written out. You're not going to go back and tell the buyers, well, I'm going to buy this note, so I have to charge you points, right? Or I have to charge you for
Right,
the
it's too late.
appraisal or the BPO or whatever. So how do you get paid if you're not going in the front door with a private loan? How do you get paid? How do you make
If you're
money?
not going in the front door, what do you mean?
The front door is lending money. You're doing an origination. In this case, the rehabber guys, they're the seller, they're the lender, so they would be the lender. And then after that, you take an
Yeah,
assignment. You end up with this note not as a direct origination, but from by assignment from someone who originated the loan. In this case, it would be the seller who would originate the loan, then you buy the loan from them. Does that make sense? That's kind of
right. And
like,
I have not done that. I usually originate them. I have not done
yes.
that. I have just
Yeah,
bought a note.
yeah, so fantastic. You know, lending money is a great place to start, and there's a lot of opportunity. There's, for most people, more opportunity to be a lender than to buy notes at a discount. Because these are hunter-gatherer kind of deals. They're not just sitting there everywhere, usually,
I know.
right? So I love this deal too, because I could say, look, I know how to make this work. So now, when you're the lender, if you lend 110, you don't expect it to cost you more than the wiring fee, right? Maybe to wire it out of your bank account. That's all the fee that you're generally going to want to pay, right?
Right.
So, but when you're buying by assignment, the way that you get your spread, cover your fees, or make it so that if it paid off next month, you're not underwater. You made something on it, right? So you
Mhm.
have to, the way to do that would be to discount the balance. And you say, well, I can, I'm going to discount this, even if it was $1,500, right? For due diligence, closing costs, if any, because there's not always a broker involved doing the points and all the other bit. So then if
Right.
you bought at a discount, then you're making, just a little bit more, but that covers you in case it pays off really, really fast, right? Because you had the time that you spent to review the deal. In this case, it's pretty slam dunk, I do have to agree. It may not be the highest interest rate, but it's solid, right? It would be really hard to lose money on this. The preservation of
Right.
principal is very important. I mean, gosh, people can, offer you a, 30% yield, but if the payments don't come in as agreed, you don't have a 30% yield, you'll be lucky to get your money back out. And sometimes you do lose money. Now, the thing I like that you said that, hey, you know what, I'm not going to be greedy. I'm willing to do this deal at 7% and just just forget about the closing costs and early payoff or something like that. I just want to make a point here because Barbara's, maybe her perfect point probably is maybe 8, 9, 10% or more. How do I know? But let's just say if Barbara has 110,000 and she's gonna hold out and let it sit in her bank account, making, oh, I don't know, let's just pretend nothing. or 1% or 2%. She said, I'm going to wait until I get a 10% deal, right? So she does this deal. She's going to make 10%. Let's say it was to an investor, 1 year rehab or loan or something like that. She's going to make her 916 and then she's out. But anyway, but if that money sits idle for half the year, so she's waiting around, I'm not saying she's doing it, but this is a point to bring up. If she will only do 10% or more for her, what is she actually making for that year? Let's pretend this is just like a 6-month payment, right? Same thing. So half the year it's sitting doing nothing, and half the year it's at 10%. What's her average yield for the year, Barbara?
5%.
Yeah, so you're at 5%. So what people don't, sometimes they get lost, they lose the whole point. So sometimes you can come out ahead lending at 6, 7, 8% even, or taking things if it's just at work for a long period of time. And I know a guy that he doesn't want to churn his money. He wants it to be working for 20 years or more and just to be really, really safe, right? He just wants it working.
And you
All
know
right.
what's really funny, Don, is I used to be like that. I used to just say, yeah, I want 10% on my money. And those are even harder to find because, for many reasons, people just go, oh, 10%. Well, no, I won't do the deal then. No, that's too high or whatever. And so it just depends on the deal and if it makes sense to you and
Yeah.
if it's affordable for the borrower. Because you taught me
Yeah.
that a long time ago.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't
Okay,
remember
fan.
it, but
Good. Good job, Donnie.
yes. So I've learned to be more flexible. You can't just sit there and say, no, I'm not going to do
Yeah.
anything 10% because then the money does sit. And well, the good part is that right now we can put our money in places and we can get 5% on our money right now.
Right. I mean, yeah,
And that's really nice.
yeah, and it's great to diversify, right? But
Yeah.
and then just to be in the game, but it's not hard. It just depends on, is this a full-time job for you sourcing deals? Because if you're a passive investor, and I know you can get the 10%, people are, depending on where you're willing to invest, your risk tolerance, the amount of money, there's guys that are making 10% easily, deal in, deal out. But and for someone like me, being in the business where I'm a deal maker, sort of, so to speak, too, like I'm not just a passive investor. I am that too, but I'm also deal making, and it's part of my business to get these deals and put them together. My expectations for my yield are higher, or I need to get paid. I want to get paid and have passive income both together. And so for me, does that make sense? This is great. I love your participation here very much, Barbara. Okay, so Barbara says she could do it, and presuming that at least no one will ask her for any more money than to wire the money into escrow, right? You'd be willing to do that. And probably, maybe Barbara, the sellers would be willing to eat that cost just for the speed and ease of getting their deal done. Like they just went on the market, they want to sell. Yeah, we'll give up $1,000 if we have to close the deal with the title company. Does that make sense?
Right. That would just be another cost for them for closing. And I think that's kind of expected. I mean, it'd be
Yeah,
like a half a point.
yeah. I would think that was something that, unless they had a cash offer sitting right there, and it was at the same time, same offer, owner carry offer, cash offer, or, maybe if they had 5 cash offers at asking price, they wouldn't take it. But